Well, welcome to the Veteran Show. Our show runs twice a month, and we bring veterans and leaders within the community who are eager to support and bring leadership and change to a veteran and military community. Our first segment for today is going to be presented by Gary, one of our co-hosts, and he runs our segment on transitioning. And as you know, transitioning for military veterans could go in so many different ways. And so many veterans, we had challenges as we transition. So Gary's role in this part is crucial. So our transitioning veterans are uh, have access to the resources and all the support that is needed in order for us to be successful as we transition into civilian life. So with this, I would like to bring Gary and give Gary the stage so he can conduct his interview with Ken.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here today. We're coming live from Camp Pendleton, where we're in the midst of ending our week, transition week, helping those that are getting out plan their futures and develop their plans for their future careers. As all of you know, next week we have Veterans Day and opportunity to honor appropriately those that have served our great country. And so I thought it would be very appropriate to interview or have the opportunity to talk with my friend here, Ken Engel. Ken is I think the world of Ken. We're both facilitators here, and he works with me as well, or we work alongside each other in conducting these workshops. So Ken, tell us a little bit about your military history.
Oh, wow. Where can I start? I came late in the military at age. I came in at 32. I retired at the age of 62. About 13 plus duty stations. I came in as an E1. I retired as a CW04 Navy, 30 years military. Super excited about it. Still pro Navy, pro military, and love it to death.
And so now you're continuing your service, you might say, within the military community, helping prepare those that are getting out for their future, right?
Yes.
So tell me, Ken, as you look back at your career, which is very distinguished, and when you got out, what were some of your biggest challenges?
Some of the biggest challenges that you face getting out is actually the transition part of being in the military. I can reflect more on the younger troops that are getting out. A lot of the demographics is around the younger troops. So they come in right after high school and they're involved in the military. Then once they get out, the civilian sector has changed so much. And especially for one that's been in for a really long time, it's so structured. So transitioning out of the military and knowing all the benefits and everything's available to veterans is such a huge plus. And us being able to provide that information to them and open the doors for them so they can be successful, right? I believe it'll help future military members getting out and also ones that are currently in.
So, as you look back at your military career, did you have any struggles at all when you first got out?
You can call them struggles. You can call it challenges. It's kind of hard to the high tempo that you work under and the operational level that you work under in the military for so long. That's part of your life. That's part of your everyday life. So trying to adjust on everyday activities and trying to get out in the civilian world on a daily basis and doing stuff, you normally wouldn't do if you're in the military, right? It's very challenging to do that. So you kind of got to go in it with slow steps. So it takes a little while to transition. You can't do it right away. I've learned you've got to take it a little bit at a time. And then some of those stressors that you may have getting out of the military, right? Some stress you have while you're in the military, getting rid of those stressors takes a little while for you to kind of release those. And that way you start waking up every day with a little bit more breath of fresh air and everything's, you're more calm at what you do.
Normally, I tell the veterans I coach and that I work with that transitioning is a full-time job. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. So the thing that I see the most about the transitioning process of it is some of the military members getting out, they may start the project a little late, the process a little late, where the actual goal is to get them set up with resumes and jobs before they get out. So that's a challenge for us, and it's a challenge for the service members too. Our main goal is to get them in the workforce with a job employed so they can have the funds and the resources where it's a smooth transition for them, their family independence, once they separate from the military.
Well, there's so many things going on in our job market these days. I mean, that impact type of jobs that are available. Just a few years ago, we had the pandemic. 40 million people lost their jobs. And so hopefully that type of situation will not occur again, but the chances are it may. And so one thing about those that are in the military, they have a number of skills that can translate into
Definitely.
a number of different types of careers.
Definitely.
And that's one of the things we try to work with is, hey, you don't have to do one particular career. You have options, but you got to know your skills and you got to know how to write about them. You got to know how to talk about them, but it gives you choice depending upon what happens in the overall environment. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree. What it does, it kind of it develops them in a lifestyle where they can see what they bring to the table and they know what to offer. We know how to identify those skills for them and help them decide what they want to do. And there's various jobs they can get out there. We even have them going, we get a lot going into the actual workforce themselves due to the infrastructure of the different all over the country and the different jobs that are in that. But identifying their skills is the main thing. We tell them, don't sell themselves short, take a hard look at yourself. And we provide them with all the resources available here at base, online, and especially in our classes in order to do that.
So today, the last day of the 3 days that we've been working with them is the interview day. So how are your interviews going today?
So interviews are doing great. What I do is I break my class down and we actually do walk through interviews. Everybody in the class does an interview. My class could be 25 to 50 people. And on my end date, everyone sits down at a table and conducts an interview. We critique them on their interviews, let them know what they need to work on, and give them some of the tools and some of the guidance going forward so they can better their interview, so they can be more efficient and be more comfortable in what they're doing.
Well, Ken, it's been a real honor to have you be part of this program today. Again, we want to thank you for your tremendous service.
I really appreciate it.
And for those out there, my email address will pop up in just a few minutes. If you want a copy of a transition plan that you could either use yourself if you're recently out of the military or provide to others that you know of that are getting out, I'll be glad to email it to you. Just email me a note saying, hey, please send me the transition plan, and I'll be glad to send it your way, and hopefully we'll provide some direction. If you got a plan, you will get to your destination, but you got to have a plan. And we hope that some of the things we shared today for all our military friends out there would be of help to you. And again, to all the people out there that are veterans, appreciate your service. It's such, so many times we take a little bit our country for granted and the many privileges we have. And we would not have what we have today without the service of those that served in the military. So
thank you, Gary, for the segment. It really brings a light into what transition military go through and how we navigate the process from military to civilian life. And everyone is different. People have different challenges. I had my own, and sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't matter, whether it's jobs ready or not, or degrees or not. it just challenges that we learn to overcome or learn to navigate through. So thank you, Gary, for the segment. And now we're going to go into our next section of the show. And I would like to introduce our next guest. But before I do that, I would like to um, kind of say a little bit about our guest. And our guest is Surrender Good. He's a military spouse for 25 years, an entrepreneur who started a coffee chain business on bases throughout San Diego County. I'm guessing through the Camp Pendleton, MCRD, and all those bases. And she operated the business for 17 years. But now she's executive producer and host of a pro mil podcast. Is focusing on military spouses called The Good Show. So with this, I would like to invite our next guest to tell us what she does, why she does it, and all the good stuff that you want to share with us today. So I read a little bit about your background and your bio, but you want to tell us what inspired you to once go and create the business and now coming forward and starting the nonprofit.
Well, first of all, I haven't actually started the nonprofit, Joe. But my reasoning for starting the business initially was after I had a business on base and listening to all of those great stories from our service members of why they joined and how it molded them, I wanted to be able to provide a platform where the service member and anybody in the military arena is acknowledged. They can verbalize their experience, their challenges, and how they overcame them.
And is your idea to focus on military spouses, military in general, veterans? Was your focus?
Well, there's so much you can focus on, Joe. What I've decided to do is I've narrowed it down to primarily focus on military spouses. As a military spouse, there's a lot along the way that we kind of just kick under the carpet. We kick the can down the road, and there's a lot that we go through. So I want to focus on military spouses again, give them a platform where they can verbalize, what challenges they've had in such markets as employment and even with issues such as childcare.
Right. And that's one thing that as a Veterans Chamber, we recognize and we honor, because those of us who joined the military, we didn't go alone. The whole family joins with us.
Yes.
The spouses, the parents,
Yeah.
the children. I mean, they'll go through so many different changes because we kind of basically drag them along. So, so it's people say thank you to us, but it's really it should be to everyone who actually follows the person in the military, and sometimes even more difficult because we know what to do. They tell us what to do, and we just do it because they command doing it. But as a military family, as a military spouse, military children, is different because you're not telling, you're not having a command to tell you what to do. You had to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, and something, I will say this, as daunting as that prospect always has been and is to many military spouses today, we're really good at figuring things out. We're good at improvising. We're good at multitasking. We run a tight ship. We don't have any choice.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's something, again, honestly, I recognize and admire. And I tell command, Gary is doing the classes right now with the military who's transitioning out of the service. But if the classes were run with for the military spouses, because you guys are the ones that actually handle the transition.
Yeah.
We don't. We really, really don't. We just show up. And but all the transition process, all the household movement, all the cars move, all the details for the kids to go to school or whatever is handled by you. We really don't.
You
So
know, one of the big things I've noticed, Joe, is that for service members that separate from the military, there are an array of services that are available, as they should be, to make sure service member can transition smoothly into the civilian world. What I have realized as I go through my own transition is that services for spouses to deal with transitions are virtually non-existent. And when we have carried whatever we've carried, whatever it is, for the period of time that the service member is active, once they have separated, there is really no release, almost. That's the best way to put it. So I think it's definitely an area that needs to be looked at for the post for the retired spouses.
of course, yes,
Yeah.
and I totally agree. I mean, if you look in one of my sections on the screen, it has family and wellness,
Yes.
and we run programs that deal with that, not just as because we're about supporting the family as a whole, not just the individual veteran. Because again, well, we were all in together, so we don't really separate that much. So the aspect of what you talk about helping the military spouse, we have what is called the Welcome Hero program that deals with the entire family and connect. Let's say if you're in San Diego and then you are moving to Arizona, or you're moving to Texas, or you were in Texas and went to California, getting reacquainted with all the services is challenging. So the chamber serves as that particular hub where people come in, and then we connect them with the local resources, whatever we have access to. So as a military spouse, where are the other military spouses that can support you, that came before you? Where are the leaders in the community who can connect you with the resources available to you in the community? So all this is critical, is crucial, because as the veteran transitions out and just focuses on a job, but there's more to it than just getting a job.
Yes.
There's also the family mechanics or dynamics. Because
Yes.
you had an active member coming in, and all of a sudden you were taking care of everything, and now the separate member comes in and wants to take care of everything, and it's a clash. It's what we call the family earthquake.
It is. And something, I think that, again, I mean, we all know this. As long as we communicate with each other, you ultimately, your end goal as two people together is the same. As I talk about the transition to people, I tell them, I can only tell you what I know. And, what I know is that there's another part of the military life cycle that I've just recently experienced, that I was talking to a spouse about. For the whole time that my husband was active duty, the friends that we made, lived very close by. And even though they maybe changed command, they were still close by. They were still, in the same, on the same base.
Right.
Recently, quite a few of our friends have retired, and all of a sudden they've moved home. And for such a long time, I had taken it for granted that this is where they lived,
Right.
And so in a short period of time, I've had about 3 of my friends up and move. And it's kind of like, wow, I did not realize this also happened. And this can also, affect you. It's your support system.
Correct. And there's one thing that also, that the mindset is different, because if you are on base and you're under the command, active duty command, and then all of a sudden you go into the civilian world, once you cross the gate, you can go back.
That's right.
I mean, you cannot go back and go have lunch at the mess hall, or all those things that you're used to, or go back and ask for a light bulb because your light bulb went out. Those those things are different. You gotta go now. You gotta go to Home Depot and get your own light bulb. So things change, and there's a different lifestyle, active duty and veteran lifestyle, and that's something that as we transition, we learn by experience. So one of the things that that I think is important is to the base handles transition really, really well,
Mhm.
especially nowadays. My
Yes.
days, not so much. We got a checklist and you're out. But nowadays is very supportive, a lot of services for the person transitioning out of the
Mhm.
military. But nobody's out there welcoming you
Mhm.
into the veteran lifestyle.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why we created the Veterans Chamber, because we are that holding place that welcomes the transitioning members. We don't, we have a little participation like through Gary and things like that on base, but we understand that one person leaves the base, you're no longer active. You are
Yes.
now a veteran. You're now a
Yes.
civilian. You're a veteran, but you're now a civilian.
Yes.
I mean, even the way we wear the we're allowed to wear the uniform is different. So things change. So that transition impacts people, and especially those who are retiring. I mean, the whole life, like Ken. I mean, he was 30 plus years in the military. Transitioning is a shock.
It
When
is. My husband just retired after 30 years. We're 3 years into our transition. I am discovering a whole new, different person that I didn't know. We've been together for over 25. So
Right.
there's this, I'm discovering a whole new individual, as he is with me. There's a lot of,
Right.
I experienced 14 deployments and I don't know how many exercises. So sometimes I think the amount of time we spent together wasn't really as much as it was apart. So it's it's another one of those learning curves
Mhm. Absolutely.
that we all come across, and it's what you make it. It's what you make it. But there's a
Right.
lot of support out there for people to get help, and I think it's important that if you feel that you need it, just pick up that phone, make that phone call.
Right.
You know.
Now, is in your organization or the one you're either starting or want to start,
Mhm.
what is your objective? What is your goal, or what is your plan?
My ultimate goal with it, there's a couple of goals, but my ultimate, I wanted to provide a platform for spouses. Initially, Joe, it was spouses that had started a business.
Mm,
Because, like most spouses in the military, because employment is such an issue, that we have
right.
to develop our own careers. They're normally self-employed around our own hours. So, I was talking to spouses, and then I had a couple of vets come to me and explain to me, again, they've opened business as well. And then I have had the privilege of being on bases. My coffee shops were on bases throughout San Diego for many years. And I had the privilege and the honor of being able to hear the stories firsthand from service members. And I just think it would be great to provide this platform for military spouses, because we we deserve it.
Mhm. Absolutely.
We have achieved things also, and we want to be acknowledged for those things. And also, just as a support, if there is one spouse that comes on my show that talks about her business that only motivates another spouse to start, then I feel that I've done a good thing, and I just want to do some good things.
Well, that's an awesome idea, and we're getting close to the end of our show, but I think what you're doing is very important. It is
Thank you.
amazing. It's very important and very needed. Now, what was the name of your coffee shop on base?
The name on the coffee shop on base was Serinda's Coffee Shack. Look, I've still got that little
Oh,
post up
okay.
there from it. But my podcast is called The Good Show, and it's on Spotify and Apple. And I'm always looking to talk to people who want to talk about their experience within the military. So please drop me an email, at the Good Show, and tell me your story. Love to have you on.
Okay. But that's very, and I like that you're focusing on the military spouses. I mean, we're open for, of course, and we'll be happy to kind of support your endeavor and collaborate with you. So I think that's pretty important.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and the chamber did have or does have. We run this, a couple of times a year. We have in the past very successfully entrepreneurship incubator for military spouses.
Nice.
We have done that in the past. So we're always happy to collaborate with people who are leaders and who have a plan and who are supporting our community. Always happy to support that.
Well, thank you, Joe. I'd love to get the word out about the incubator, because I'm sure that somebody out there, it'll be for them.
Well, absolutely, and so we'll talk soon about all this. Before we go, is any last words that you would like to share with the audience?
I just want to say to everybody, hey, be kind to each other, be patient, and be humble. Those are my parting words, Joe.
All right, very good. And once again, the name of your show.
It is called The Good Show, which is GOODE. The Good Show.
The Good Show. All right, excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming today. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to having you more times on the show.
Well, thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes our show for today in November. Be mindful that we will have a celebration of Veterans Day on November 8th. And before we go, I would also like to congratulate all the winners from the minority, the National Majority Council, who were the winners of the grant. And we didn't have exactly the show slides from them, but what we will do, we'll add those to the show later on, so you get to see who were the winners of the grants. Always a pleasure to work with you, and we look forward to having you on the show next time.